Now it's time to take a look at the details of what's happening when we ask a flag object to execute its draw method. All right, so to do that, what we can do is the flag.java file that we copied into the source folder actually is executable Java code, and we can go in and edit it and make changes or do something. So let me double click on the flag.java. That'll open it up in a new editor tab. Okay. And this is going to start showing the structure of a class definition. So all of our class definitions in Java are going to have a similar structure, and we will see this over and over as we go through the semester. So you don't have to memorize it now, but it'll be a first experience in the structure, seeing how classes are set up. So at the beginning of the file, we have the heading, which says public class and then the name of the class. Okay, and then we have these open curly braces. So the curly braces, this is an opening curly brace, and every open curly brace must be matched with a closing curly brace. We think it's important for closing braces to put a comment. The two slashes mean that the rest of that line is ignored as a comment, and it's very helpful to say what the closing brace is the end of. Okay, so this is the end of the class flag, and it matches the open curly brace up here at the top. Okay, so the class structure at the inside the class heading, the curly braces. First of all, we're going to declare private variables or properties. So these are the properties that an object of the class will know about it. So it's almost like memory. Okay, so what does the object know about itself? Okay, and for a flag, we have 4 properties. We have a color, which is the background color of the flag. So it's very helpful to have these comments to sort of explain things. So flag color is an object or that will describe the background color of the flag. Stripe color would be the color of the stripe that's horizontal on the flag. Why is it horizontal? Because the author of the class meant it to be. And then 2 integers for over and down. Okay. So once again, this is the declaring objects. We specify private, and then the class it comes from, and then the name we're going to use. Okay. We can also have what are called constants, and the width and the height of these flags are always the same. They're always 200 pixels wide and 120 pixels high. That's what the author decided to do. And the keyword final here means that this width and height are set to these values, and then they're never changed. That's the final value that will ever be stored in them. So it's a way of getting a constant value. Okay, so we have data. We have the properties of the class. Then every class is going to have what's called a constructor method, and the constructor method is what is used when in another part of the program we ask to create a new object from the class. So in MU-panel, in the instantiations where we say, hey, I want to make a new flag with these values. Okay, that calls the constructor method. So this will be executed. And the purpose of the constructor method, mainly, at least at this early part of the semester, is going to be to make sure that we set up the initial values in the properties of the class. So in NetBeans, notice the properties are syntax highlighted with a green text color. Okay, and so notice that here in my constructor, I say public and then the name of the class, it's flag, so right, and then inside parentheses I'm specifying 4 values, and these are specified in the order that I expect to see the values when a new object is created. So an integer and an integer and a color and a color. Okay, I give this a name that's similar to, but not exactly the same as, the property name, so it makes it easy to see what's going on here. So the first integer is how far OV, and the second one is DN, the third is flag call, and then stripe call. So what I'm doing then in the constructor is I'm simply storing the value that was passed in parentheses into the previously declared property. And when you're doing this, you always want the green stuff on the left. The green text should be on the left of the equal sign. So the way you read this is called an assignment statement. We are assigning a value to a variable or a property, and the direction always goes from right to left. So this is setting over equal to the value of OV. This is setting down equal to the value of DN. Flag color is being set equal to flag call and stripe color stripe. So at least at the beginning of the semester, a constructor is always going to be simply these assignment statements. Okay? We'll see more about that as we move along. But now for the interesting thing. The interesting thing is what happens when we ask a flag object to draw itself. Okay? So how does it know to set the colors and draw horizontal stripes and so on? Okay? Well, here we go. So this is how it's going to happen. Notice the draw method here, the body of the draw method. Inside here, we have several statements that are going to be executed one after another. All right? And these are methods that you can call for the graphics object. The graphics object comes from the built-in classes that are distributed with the Java language. And so the graphics object has a lot of different methods that enable different kinds of drawing, and we're going to see that in another video here before, and you'll get a chance to practice it in Lab 2. So one of the things we can do is set the current drawing color. So set color, the g.setColor method is used to set the color to a particular color. Now, after that's done, all drawing commands will cause the things to be drawn in that color until the color is changed to another color. All right. So the basic idea here is that a flag is going to be a rectangle, and then the stripe is a smaller rectangle that's drawn on top of that rectangle, and then we're going to outline the flag in black. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is set the color to whatever the flag color is. Now, flag color is going to be different for each flag, right? Because that's what we passed in here. If you go back to here, flag color for first one is red, flag color for second is cyan, flag color for last one is blue. Okay, so in general, when we're writing the code in the class, we are going to be using general names here. Okay, so set color, flag color would cause the drawing color to be whatever the background of the flag is going to be. And then I'm going to fill a rectangle. Now, the fill rect method accepts 4 numbers. How far over and down the value will be from the left edge of the screen, and how wide and how high it will be. So for the background of the flag, we're going to just use these values that are properties of the class. Now, let me do this. Let me make the rest of these statements into comments. When I do that, okay, they will not be executed if I run the program, but then I don't have to retype them. In other words, I can just uncomment the values and they'll come back into play. So now, right now, my draw method, all I'm doing is setting the color to the background color and filling a rectangle. So if I run the program, notice that all I now have is a single rectangle in the flag background color. You see that? Okay. Now, a related method to fill rect is draw rect. So if I uncomment these, okay. Here I have a set color to change the color black. So I don't care what the actual flag color is. I want the outline to be black. So I can put in just the color black here, and every flag will have a black outline. And then draw rect is similar to fill rect in the values that it's expecting, how far over, how far down, and how wide and how high the rectangle will be. So if I draw a black rectangle, the difference between draw and fill is draw just does the outline, and the interior will be left alone. Whatever was on the screen before will still be there. So if I run this now, notice each of my rectangles has a black a black outline around it. Okay, do you notice that? If I changed this to, say, green, then every flag would have a green outline around it. Can you see that? It's kind of hard. Maybe it's easier to see on the cyan one. All right, so back to black here. Okay, so that's hopefully makes sense. But now, what about the horizontal stripe in the middle? Okay, well, let's look at the code in the original class. Okay, so I'm setting the color. First of all, I fill a rectangle with the flag color. Then I change the drawing color to whatever the stripe color should be. Remember, the stripe color is this thing, so it's going to be different for each flag. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill a rectangle, but it's not going to be the same numbers here. Okay? So what I'm saying is, let's take a look at, let's just run it and sort of see this. Okay. What I want to do for the stripe rectangle is I want to figure out how far over and down should the stripe rectangle be from the upper left corner of the window, and how wide should the stripe be, and how high should the stripe be. So if I want, notice I guess what we want is we want the stripe to be 1/3 of the height of the flag, and we want it to be in the middle. So we would want the stripe to be 1/3 of the way down from the top of the flag, and then the width should be the same as the width of the entire flag, but the height should only be 1/3 the height of the entire flag. Okay, so how do we know what's going on here? Well, the upper left corner of the actual flag body is, the distance down from the top of the screen is down. So how far down would this be from the top of the screen? It would be as far down as the top of the flag plus another 1/3 of the height to get all the way down here. So to draw the stripe rectangle, the stripe is the same distance from the left side of the screen as the original flag was, the body of the flag. How far down the stripe rectangle would be I come down as far down as the top of the flag plus an additional 1/3 of the height. And then how wide should the stripe rectangle be? Should be the same width as the entire flag. And how high should it be? It should only be 1/3 of the height. Okay, and that's why when I run this, the stripe rectangle is 1/3 the height of the entire flag, and it's as wide as the flag is. So if we wanted then to do a vertical stripe instead of a horizontal stripe, okay, we would simply change the way this would be set up. So now for a vertical stripe, the height down from the top of the flag should be the same as the height at the top of the flag itself, right? The vertical stripe should be the same. It should start as far down. It should start at the top of the flag, basically, and its height should be the same height as the flag. But the width of the stripe should maybe only be 1/3 the width of the flag, and it should start 1/3 of the way over. So if I could simply change this, I could say over plus width divided by 3, down, and then width divided by 3, and height. Okay, let's run it, and then I'll come back and take a look at it. See that? So I went from horizontal stripes to vertical stripes. Okay, why did that happen? Because I told it to. The stripe rectangle, let's take a look at both of these at the same time. I fill the rectangle in the flag color, then I set the color to the stripe color, and I'm going to fill a rectangle. The left edge of the stripe is how far over the flag is from the edge of the screen, plus 1/3 of the width. So that's how far over I go to when I start drawing my stripe rectangle. How far down that is from the top of the screen is the same how far down it is from the flag is from the top. So down and down. And then it's only 1/3 as wide, and the height should be the height. See, if I just had width here, then it goes, like, see, it goes beyond, right? I only want the stripe to be 1/3 the width. So that's why if I say 1/3 the width, I get this kind of thing. All right, so I know that's a lot, but you'll get a chance to play with that kind of thing in Lab 2. The last video in this series before we get ready to do the lab is going to be a review of these various things like fill rect, set color, draw rect. How do you know what you can do in Java for drawing commands? So we will see that in the next video.